Hey. On today's episode, I want to talk about how healing my self-worth saved my life. Because self-worth is something that I think many of us women struggle with, but the sad part is that most of us don't even realize that we're struggling with it. Not because we are unaware, but because living with low self-worth has become so normal for us. Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to my channel. If you are new, welcome. If you are coming back, welcome back. I'm so glad to have you. My name is Cassie, and on this channel, we talk all things of healing, self-love, and self-care, and of course, becoming your dream woman. So yeah, having the low self-worth becomes our baseline. It becomes the way that, we just have always lived. And after a while, we end up stop questioning things. We assume we are who we are. We also assume that we're like just naturally insecure and we're anxious and depressed and we're all of these things because this is who we are, and we tend to attract the wrong people, but then think like, oh my goodness, why do I keep on doing this? It just must be me. We're naturally very hard on ourselves. But what if I told you that that's not who you really are? What if that's just a version of you that you had to become to survive your life, to get through your childhood and become the woman you are today? Because for a long time, that's exactly what happened to me. I felt broken. I felt damaged. I felt like there was something fundamentally wrong with me. And if you ever felt that way, this message is for you. And just know, you are not alone, babe. Today, I want to talk more about how self-worth damages our lives, right? In so many different areas. And how healing our self-worth can completely change our lives for the better going forward. And the truth is that self-worth doesn't usually just disappear overnight, right? For many women, it ends up starting in our childhood. Maybe, you didn't feel the love that you thought you should have received, right? That you felt that you needed. Maybe you were consistently criticized. Maybe you just felt rejected or even experienced betrayal. Maybe you even, watched unhealthy relationships growing up. Maybe you were taught that your value actually came from what you could do for other people. And these circumstances are different for everyone, and it may not be something that I listed here. But no matter what you go through, the results are often the same. A little crack of your self-worth can actually cause a lot of damage if it's not tended to when it's that little crack, right? It's dangerous when it goes unattended. And the problem is that many of us were told something that sounded comforting at the time, but truly is not true, And I don't know if maybe you were told something different, but I was told that time heals all wounds. So I ended up waiting years for that time to heal me. Yes, years. I kept thinking eventually the pain would just disappear. I just would wake up and feel better, right? Like it had to go away. But, I ended up continuing carrying that hurt. And time never did heal it. It may have lessened the pressure of me feeling it, but it never, went away. So, time simply made me more accustomed to carrying it. And unfortunately, that wound was still there. And it ended up growing and the hurt was still there. The beliefs were there. They were just running quietly in the background of my subconscious mind. And it's also running in the background of your subconscious mind as well. And because, it goes unaddressed, it just continued influencing every decision that I ended up making. Because believe it or not, your subconscious mind actually controls, I think, about 80% of our decision making. So consciously, we may say like, no, that I want something else, right? Because that's what I was. I didn't want the things I was getting. No, I wanted different things. But unfortunately, we don't get what we want. We get what we are. And so keep that in mind as well. When your self-worth is damaged, unfortunately, it doesn't end up staying isolated in one area of your life. No, it spreads like wildfire. It ends up affecting your relationships, your career, your financing, how you parent, how you show up within your friendships, your confidence levels, what you believe that you are worthy of even receiving, what you end up tolerating throughout your life, and what you expect. And that's why healing your self-worth is so important. This should be a non-negotiable on your list, right? If any of this resonated with you, then this is definitely something that you need to take seriously and start figuring out what you can do to heal it. Because when you don't believe that you're worthy, end up starting to accept things that you should have never accepted in the first place. You stay in relationships longer than you should. You also stay in jobs longer than you should. You settle for less than what you actually deserve. You end up convincing yourself that, oh, this is life and this is as good as it gets. And the scary part is, you don't even realize that you're doing it because your standards are being filtered through your wounded identity. You started tolerating behaviors that a healthy version of you would have never accepted. You accepted breadcrumbs and called it love. You accept inconsistency and call it potential. You accept disrespect and call it compromise. All because somewhere deep inside, you don't fully believe that you are worthy of having and receiving more. And for years, I thought the solution was fixing the outside. And I think many of us do. I thought if I just lost some weight, I'd finally be happy. And honestly, for a little while, it worked. I felt more confident. I felt better about myself. But honestly, it was just at the surface level, because underneath that weight loss, I was still carrying that trauma. And even on the outside, I was, coming across more happier and confident and all of that. But when I was at home in the mirror, in my private space, I had body dysmorphia. I was still thinking very negative thoughts about myself. And it just really, wasn't the answer to things, because I was still carrying the wounds. I was still carrying those beliefs. I hadn't healed anything, to be honest. The life, just kind of continued happening. And then betrayal hit that I never expected. Someone betrayed me that I loved and that I never, truly expected. So a heartbreak that completely shattered me, and suddenly that confidence that I once had on the outside had disappeared completely. I became an emotional eater again. I gained my weight back. I spiraled into depression. I struggled with all of this for years, not months, but years. Because the real issue had never been addressed. The weight wasn't the problem, but the wound was. And around the same time, I was also, trying to build a business. I was working full time. I was raising my family. I was going to school at night. I was exhausted, but I was also determined to change my life. I thought these things were going to really, change it. So I ended up getting a degree. I earned a promotion. I was making more money. I got the new job. I achieved those goals. And the thing everyone says, will make you happy. And don't get me wrong, I don't want to sound like it didn't, because it did. And I was very proud of myself that I achieved, my degree and stuff like that. And I still am. But after the excitement faded, I realized something, that unfortunately, those wonderful achievements hadn't healed me neither. Those accomplishments hadn't healed me. The success hadn't healed me, because healing doesn't happen through achievements. Healing happens through true transformation. And you can walk across the stage and receive a degree. You can lose 100 pounds. You can get that dream job. You can buy that dream house. But if you are still carrying the same wounds, you're still going to feel empty at the end of the day. After all of the excitement of the new stuff fading off, then you will be left feeling like you always did. Because external success can never replace internal healing. And honestly, you hear all of that and, all of those years, and then COVID hit, and that added up more stress and more things. And, that ended up leading into a divorce. And eventually, all of these things, I was tired. I was tired of surviving. I was tired of carrying the world on my shoulders. I was tired of feeling broken. And I was tired of trying to outrun wounds that kept on catching up with me. No matter what I did, they would still show up in different ways. And that's when I had to ask God for help. And He began leading me somewhere different. Not towards another achievement, not towards another goal, but towards healing. Real deep healing this time. The kind that requires honesty, the kind that requires surrender, the kind that requires for you to stop blaming everyone else and finally look inward at yourself. Because, for a while too, I was blaming everybody. It was everybody else's fault, right? It was my mother's fault. It was this fault, and And, blaming everybody and being a victim is not going to help you neither. It doesn't solve anything. Once I started doing these things, that was the beginning of everything starting to change. And one of the biggest things that I learned on this lesson, if you are new to healing, this is going to probably be some interesting information for you as well. But as I was taking me through all of these things, I learned that many of my triggers weren't even coming from like the present version of me. They were actually coming from the younger version of me. I didn't really understand or know that we had an inner child within us. So, when you are triggered and you're feeling all of these emotions and stuff, it's not you. It's that little girl who didn't feel seen. It's that little girl who didn't feel safe, who didn't feel chosen, who didn't feel worthy. And every time that I was triggered, it was that little girl in me that was crying out for attention. She was saying, please help me, see me, love me, stop ignoring me. The healing journey became less about fixing myself and more about reconnecting with parts of myself that has been abandoned. And the more that I did this work, the lighter I became. The less anxiety I carried, the less fear I had, and I didn't feel as much shame anymore. And that anger that I used to feel, yeah, that kind of disintegrated a lot as well. So I finally felt like I could breathe again. And when your self-worth starts growing, everything starts changing. You end up stop chasing validation. You stop begging others to be chosen. You stop shrinking yourself to fit into spaces that you were never meant to occupy. And you stop accepting bare minimum from everyone. You stop settling because you finally realize I can give what I've been looking for from everyone else to myself. And that is magical because God started giving me courage to take myself on dates. He even gave me enough courage and nudges to go on a solo vacation. I went to Italy last year by myself. Learned that I could spoil myself and I don't need someone else to do that for me. Not because I don't want a relationship, but because I was learning how to become the woman that I needed first for myself. Because if you don't know, you will know now that, oh man, nobody outside of yourself can make you feel worthy and happy. That is an inside job, and you have to do that. Feeling unworthy and you're feeling unhappy, even if you attract an amazing man into your life and he's spoiling you and everything like that, you're probably not going to know how to receive his greatness and all of the love that he's trying to pour into you, because you're not going to feel worthy enough of receiving it. And that could even go for maybe even a job, right? Like, you want this job, but you're like, I don't know if I'm good enough for this job, right? I don't know if if they will ever pay me that, because I don't feel worthy of that. I'm good enough for that, right? So, I mean, it can happen in all different areas of your life. Learned how to become the woman that I needed first. Now I feel more confidence, and now that, when somebody takes me out to a nice restaurant, I will definitely appreciate the time and effort and all of that. But I'm not going to be so like, oh my goodness, like so impressed, right? Because I know that I can do that for myself. And when you finally reach this level of self-worth, you got the power, girl, because people can no longer manipulate you with the things that you desperately craved. Your self-worth definitely gives you your power back. Here is something that I don't think many people realize. Healing is not the end of the journey. It's important for you to take this next step, and that is shifting your identity. Because even after you heal, you still have to become this new version of you. You have to release those old identities. The victim mindset, the people pleaser, the anxious attachment woman, the woman who settled, the woman who believed that she was not enough. Yes, babe, you gotta let her go. I've had many rebirths, so just something that you do all at once. You do it gradually, because as you heal through different things, you will, have many deaths and rebirths, not like deaths literally, but deaths of your old identities. You have to let her go, not because she's bad, and you have to tell her that too, like, not because she's bad, but because she has done what she needed to do to get me here, and now she can rest. She's not the version of you that you are becoming, right? So you are becoming a new version of you. So that mindset and the way that she did things are not going to serve the next version of you. So that's why you have to, let her go. And hey, I'll be really honest with you. Every new level that you get to, is going to require a new identity. And if you want to be healthy, you must begin seeing yourself as that healthy version of yourself. If you want healthy love, you must become someone who expects healthy love. If you want to have more money, you have to become the person who is more responsible with her money and makes better choices. If you want more confidence, you must begin identifying as a confident woman. And, healing clears the wounds, but identity shifting is what creates the future. And you definitely need both. Because if you heal, you don't shift your identity, then unfortunately, it's going to seem like you are that same version of you. Okay? So it's really important. And one of the biggest reasons that I believe that healing matters is because it doesn't stop with us neither, right? Like, oh, this is so big. And even if you're not a mother yet, maybe you're young, but this will help you with your future family, your future children, and such as well. Children are watching us, right? They learn what love looks like from us. They end up learning that setting boundaries is safe because they see us doing these things. They see what self-respect is because they see their mom demanding it. They learn what worthiness looks like because we are being examples of these things, okay? So if we continue operating from a wounded pattern, those patterns end up getting passed down. But when we stop and we heal, guess what? We break that cycle. We create a new legacy, a healthier one, a freer one, and a stronger one. And that alone makes this journey worth it all. Because do you want, your kids to have the same struggles as you? And you may think oh no, it's not, but it does, because you children are not having good examples of somebody feeling worthy. So the way that you talk, the decisions that you make, the way that you live, it all shows that you have lower self-worth without even really knowing that, right? Start paying attention and writing down what does your dream life look like? What does the dream version of you look like? And that's who you should try to become, is her. And I bet it's not the version of you living today. And you may be like, oh, well, I don't even know if I can get there. Yeah, I know, because your self-worth is, wrecked, could be in a million pieces right now. Once you start healing and you start putting things back together again, then you'll start saying, oh yeah, I can become her now. I'm feeling better about this. And I'm feeling more confident that this is actually something possible for me to achieve now, because you've cleared out the wounds. You've cleared out the limiting beliefs that you had around those wounds. Now you can say, yeah, I've done this and now I can become that. Because, if you have been carrying around years of pain, maybe, you did go through a betrayal, or you experienced rejection, or you struggled with anxiety, depression, people pleasing, low self-esteem, I want you to know something. You are not broken. You are just wounded, and all wounds can heal. Okay? And I know because I lived it and I did this work. I once believed I was too far gone. I believed that I was beyond fixing. And I once believed that I would just always live my life like this. Like my life was doomed. And I ended up accepting it for a while. But you know, God took all of those broken pieces in me and began putting them back together one piece at a time. And today, because of that, I am a completely different woman that I've ever been, because I chose to do the heavy work of healing. Not perfectly, not overnight, but consistently. So if you are on a healing journey right now, keep going. Even if you have to take breaks, because I did consistent, but I did take some breaks, because, you know, healing can be exhausting, and it depends how much you have and how deep you gotta go. You know, I had to take some breaths, like, whew, okay, I've done a lot of this, now let's breathe, let's kind of just enjoy what we've created so far, and then we can go back to it. And then keep choosing yourself, keep showing up, and keep trusting God on the journey, because there is so much beauty for you on the other side of healing. And the woman that you are becoming is worth every step of the journey. And one day you'll look back and realize that the very thing that almost broke you became the thing that transformed you. And so if you are interested in healing your self-worth, then I'm going to leave my link in the description. Check it out and see if you feel called to heal. It is 10 modules and it goes pretty deep, just how God took me deep, but that can help support you along the way. So I love you, I'm rooting for you, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.